Tons of talking, top rope walking, ultimate exit, serious flexing, never be vague with your boy Craig, and opinion mixing from Pete to Nixon. Keep doing things in an impactful way. Bloody nonsense, as the Brits say. Talking bloody nonsense.
Yes, it's me. It's Peter Nixon. No Craig this week. He is unavailable, but it's too big a news week to skip an episode. I am joined this week by the Booker Man, my good friend Alec Burnitt. Alec, how's it going?
Hello, sir. I'm good. This wasn't expected this week, so I'm a little bit underprepared and I've been a little bit under the weather this week. But like you said, there's a lot to discuss this week in wrestling.
Usually,
it's all got a bit mad.
It has a bit. Usually, if myself or Craig aren't available, we'll skip a week. But what with Hard to Kill being this Friday and the news that broke last night and this morning, we felt, well, I felt that we needed to put something out there. So, yeah, gave you a call. You were willing to jump on, and I appreciate it. You know, I don't usually host these things. Craig does the hosting, does the structuring, so it might be a bit disjointed, but we'll try and flow as smoothly as possible. But yeah, I wanted to talk straight away about the massive news that's being reported. I don't know if it's been 100% confirmed, but it is all but confirmed that WWE... well, yeah, first things first, Stephanie McMahon resigns. You know, the inventor of women's wrestling. So that's usually a sign of something's about to go down. And then maybe an hour later, it's started being reported that WWE is going to be sold to the investment group in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Obviously, this is monumental news. And even though we are an Impact Wrestling podcast and deal with a lot of Brit Wres, it's too big a news story to just gloss over, because it's going to overshadow anything that happens at Hard to Kill. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you. First things first, talk to you about what your thoughts were when you heard this news.
Yes, this was like the first thing that popped up this morning when I sort of looked at my phone, unsurprisingly, and it's pretty mental. Vince, the whole Vince thing, and Vince coming back and everything, and it was being reported that was due to, you know, looking to sell the company. But even then, you don't expect something like that to move and develop as quickly as it has. And a lot of the names talked about were a lot of the big media companies, especially you know, the sort of parent companies of USA Network and Peacock and all that kind of stuff, with a kind of built-in infrastructure with WWE already. That seemed like a big possibility, and all that kind of thing. And I think that's pretty much what would have been the best outcome, probably, because of their long-term relationship with WWE. But yeah, Saudi Arabia, it's been pretty controversial from the get-go, right, with their relationship there. Yeah, I'm hearing, the stuff that I'm reading is that a lot of the reasoning behind this sale in particular is that the company will no longer be a publicly traded company and will go back to being a private company, meaning that Vince can remain in charge, which I know a lot of people don't really support that now, and have actually quite enjoyed the WWE without Vince around over the last 6 months. So exactly. I don't think there's anyone around that really sees this as positive news.
No. Yeah, ever since the Saudi Arabia deal was inked, and they did that first show, which was the Greatest Royal Rumble in 2018, people realised, well, these shows are pretty much non-canon. Anything that happens sort of happens in a vacuum. But then the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist, made people think, well, no, I'm not going to support any dealings with Saudi Arabia. And it looked like WWE was in it for the blood money, and obviously that's not their intention, but you can't deny that there is blood money involved in all these deals. And then the controversy with the airplane not taking off and the SmackDown roster being abandoned in Saudi Arabia for over 24 hours. It's been one thing after another with Saudi Arabia. One thing about Saudi Arabia is it's a progressive country, and I know people knock their culture and their human rights beliefs, but they are moving in the right direction, and it's going to be a gradual thing. But the first thing that I thought about, when it relates to Stephanie resigning and Saudi Arabia investing in WWE, is women's wrestling. And although, women's wrestling has been more prominent on the Saudi Arabia shows in the past couple of years, they still have to cover their entire body, essentially. They can't show any skin from the neck down. Will women's wrestling suffer in WWE, do you think, Alec, when this deal is made?
It's a difficult topic because I think that Saudi Arabia, or a company within Saudi Arabia, owns Newcastle United Football Club now, right? Mm-hmm. And they haven't shut down the Newcastle United women's team. I think women's wrestling is not going to suddenly not be a thing for WWE. But if I was a female on their roster, I would be concerned. And same goes if I was on their roster and I was and I was gay or I just think that I think there's going to be a very large kind of brush it under the carpet approach. It's going to be, we've been bought by this company, but Vince is in charge and it's still Vince's company. And that's going to be the kind of narrative, even though that's not what people want. But yeah, I'm concerned for how much exposure women's wrestling gets following this. I don't
100%. And
I don't think it's going to be. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be shown, because there has been a focus on women's wrestling, and headlining one of the nights of WrestleMania now most year, the last couple of years, and being presented as a big deal. And I don't want to see it go back to how it was in years previous. It was kind of a bit of an afterthought. But yeah, I'd be concerned about that.
Yeah, and you touched on the LGBTQIA plus community. Any gay, trans, non-binary wrestlers. Mm-hmm. If they're not under a contract now, they're going to want to steer clear of WWE, I would have thought. But yeah, it's good that there are other options out there. Look at AEW and Impact, very progressive companies on that.
Yeah, and as bad as it is, but one of my first thoughts in this whole process is look at all of the fantastic work that's gone into to the Sami Zayn storyline, and I'll be in his push and how the reactions he's getting, and he doesn't go to Saudi Arabia for their shows because he's not welcome. No. In the same way MVP as well doesn't. So I'd be very interested to know his thoughts on it. He's arguably in the middle of the biggest profile run of his career, and we've not yet reached the payoff for that. And it's going to reach its payoff potentially as we're heading into sort of WrestleMania season. I mean, that's potentially massive, but that could all be derailed with this. So I'd be interested to know his side of things and his thoughts on the matter as well.
100%. That was my next topic, was Sami Zayn, being Syrian, and the diplomatic ties breaking down between Syria and Saudi Arabia. He is not welcome in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And once they take over, if Vince is still in control, then maybe it won't be an issue. But if they do have more pull behind the scenes, then Sammy's days might be numbered.
And let's not forget, you can have Vince in charge, of course, absolutely. He wants to be back in charge of his company, the company that he built. But let's not forget, he's an old man. He's not going to be around forever. And he, as much as he'd like to live forever, I'm sure. He's what? How old is he? 77 or something like that?
He's 77.
77. So, he's nearly in his 80s. Like, how long can Vince McMahon realistically run this huge company? And when he isn't able to anymore, and you've already run off, Stephanie's gone. It'd be interesting to see if Triple H sticks around. And then you've got all these people that Triple H has brought back. You've got William Regal a little bit, because that's all just uncertainty. And if Vince isn't there, then how much say does Saudi Arabia and this investment group, how much say do they have in the sort of inner workings of the company? It's worrying, definitely.
Yeah, but the point I was going to make was, Sami Zayn, a lot of people have him pegged to win the Royal Rumble at the end of the month. And now hiya, Dinky. I just can't see that happening for him now, which is unfortunate because it is the biggest push of his career. And I would hate to see anything derail that, but I just can't see it going the way that it was meant to. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have him pegged to win the Royal Rumble, but I still anticipated him, getting that big, moment, with Roman at some point, which would have been. I mean, it might still happen. Let's not say that, it's not going to happen. But I'd be surprised if plans didn't change somewhat.
Yeah, absolutely. Incidentally, who do you have pegged to win the Royal Rumble?
Well, I think there's two trains of thought. One is, people have said for ages that it's going to be Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, so that's one thought. The other would be Cody. There's no inbuilt story there. Everything that you've seen on TV says that Roman and Sami would culminate at Mania because it's been the focus of TV. But I don't see that as a big enough match to headline WrestleMania. So but my issue is, would potentially fans boo The Rock because they want Sami? That's my concern. If all this Saudi Arabia stuff goes through, does The Rock want all that negative publicity around him as well?
That's the thing, but he is a Vince McMahon guy.
I mean, he is, absolutely he is, but he's kind of built up this persona of being like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and any negative publicity is not a good thing.
Very true.
But it'll be interesting. I just couldn't, even before all this, I just couldn't see Sami Zayn headlining WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are expecting Sammy and Kevin Owens against the Usos for the tag to WrestleMania, which would be a huge match. Not main event, but a big marquee match. And it'd be cool to see the tag titles in a focused spot at WrestleMania for once. I don't know what else we can really say about all of this. By the way, Dinky thinks Road Dogg is going to win the Royal Rumble. Why not?
Never going to happen.
No? Junkyard Dog?
No. Sorry, Dinky.
No. Moondog Rex?
Sorry?
Moondog Rex?
No, but Moondog spots him with a shout.
Yeah?
Definitely.
10 to 1. 10 to 1 on Moondog spot. Okay, we've talked WWE. Let's talk some Impact Wrestling.
Yes.
Hard to Kill is this Friday. You can get it on Fight TV. It's £20. I've already ordered it.
Lots of good stuff on Fight TV this month.
Exactly. I'm Fight TV's favourite son. Hard to Kill last year was one of my favourite Impact / TNA pay-per-views of all time. Such a spectacular show, and the card for this year's show, I'm not sure it rivals last year, but if they put on a really good show, then it could be in with a shout of being in the top 5 Impact pay-per-views of all time. How do you feel the hype has been on Impact for this pay-per-view?
I mean, me and you have had a few discussions about it. I'm not as hyped as you are, I don't think. I've been getting a little bit, not necessarily bored, but I just feel like things aren't particularly fresh at the minute. I feel like, you know, and a few people that I was enjoying are no longer there. And I'm not as hyped as you are, but looking at the show on paper, you know, it has the ability to deliver for sure. The build has been solid. I don't think it's been amazing, but it does feel like we had a bit of an issue when we chatted before about Bound for Glory not feeling like a big show. I feel like this feels bigger, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The build, I feel like this feels bigger. So yeah, they must be doing something right.
Yeah, and for the record, Bound for Glory was an excellent show. I really enjoyed it.
It was, yeah.
I felt that in some ways it was too good, because it was just banger after banger after banger and no time to catch your breath. Sometimes how an AEW pay-per-view feels. So I think that's something Impact need to work on, is the pacing of the shows. Because by the main event, which was an excellent match, Josh and Eddie Edwards, I was done. I was knackered, and I just couldn't pay attention to wrestling anymore because there was a dog in the way. So we've got 2 big marquee matches for Hard to Kill. Josh Alexander defending the world title against Bully Ray in a Full Metal Mayhem match, or as Craig would say, Full Metal Mayhem, in the style of Jeff Hardy. And then we've got the last rodeo for the Impact Women's World title, Jordan Grace defending against Mickie James. We'll do predictions in a moment, but how do you see those 2 matches going? And do you see one main eventing over the other?
If it wasn't Full Metal Mayhem, I would feel more confident that the women's championship could go on last. Feel that because of the stipulation that I think Bully and Josh will go on last.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're not both worthy of headlining the show or main eventing. I think the best thing about this pay-per-view is it doesn't feel predictable.
Very true.
Some of the Impact shows this year, you look at them and you go, well, Josh is winning, and they felt predictable. This doesn't. I can't call a lot of it. I will have a good go, but yeah, I could predict the entire thing and get everything wrong on this show, I think.
Exactly. Sometimes Impact pay-per-views and plus specials, we put our predictions out there feeling pretty confident and we get 2 out of 8 right. And that could happen at Hard to Kill, although our predictions, some are the same, some are very different. So we might as well start with the pre-show.
Yeah.
Let me load up my notes here. So the X Division 6-way.
Yeah.
I haven't got the list of entrants in front of me, but I know Speedball Mike Bailey, Kushida, Action Mike Jackson.
Yes.
I love him. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
Same.
I think Kenny King. I think he's in it. Your mate.
So.
Aaron Angels. Yuya Uemura.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's 6.
Yeah. So who have you got for that one?
I've got Kushida. In the hopes that it means Kushida's going to do a bit more with Impact, be a bit more regular. I think Kushida and Trey would be really good. And I hope that Kushida wins this, and then we get a little something between them for the X Division title.
Yeah, that would be sweet. I've got Speedball down to win it, but what he's doing with Kenny King, I think it's almost like a subplot. And maybe Kenny will cost Speedball the match somehow, and they'll go into a little rivalry. Maybe culminating the match on the Plus special. Dinky, you're getting in the way of the microphone.
On a side note there with Kenny King and Speedball, the stuff on Impact this past week involving those two was so bad. Kenny King to Speedball's dojo was just awful, and then Speedball just doesn't have any fire in a promo at all. It was really really, I was laughing my head off because it was so bad. It
was a bit cringy, wasn't it?
It was so cringe.
Yeah, I know you're not a big fan of Kenny King, and Speedball, as good as he is in the ring, he's not the most charismatic. We'll see how.
I think he's overrated in every regard.
Okay.
I don't rate him like you do. He can do some cool stuff, but I don't buy into him like you and Craig do.
Yeah, I think he is spectacular. I don't know if Josh and Speedball, the 1 hour match, deserve to be match of the year. I think there were far better matches in 2022 than that one. But I can see why, because it's fresh in people's minds. I can see why it got the award.
Yeah, then if you have a banger in December, then it's more likely to win match of the year than having a banger in January.
Yeah,
because it's fresh, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Elsewhere on the pre-show, we've got the Death Dolls against Tasha Steeles, Savannah Evans, and Giselle Shaw. Don't believe the titles are on the line.
Yeah, well, it's 3-on-3, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I doubt it'll be anything to do with the titles. I think that Tasha, Savannah, and Giselle Shaw will win.
Yeah, I think purely because the titles aren't on the line, Death Dolls can pick up a loss, leading to a team of Tasha and Giselle potentially challenging for the titles at the next Impact Plus special.
Yeah, because I think that if you have Death Dolls win, then that's again that kind of program's kind of dead in the water because they've beaten them a few times
Exactly.
already.
And then who else is there?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, 100%. On the main card, let's start with the four-way number one contenders match for the Knockouts World title. You've got Taylor Wilde, Killer Kelly, Deonna Purrazzo, and Masha Slamovich. Who do you reckon for that one?
I think that's quite difficult to call.
It's so difficult, in fact, that we've got three different answers down here.
Have I already given you my answers?
You have indeed. I've got them in front of me.
I can't even remember what I went for in some of these.
You said Masha Slamovich.
Yeah. I think that is the most likely. Like I say, I'm very unprepared for this podcast. Didn't write anything down.
Me too. I'm always unprepared when I record with Craig. I rely on.
Yeah, Masha, I think, is the most likely. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though if Deonna won.
Right.
Because I think that after Chelsea Green has left, she kind of needs rebuilding a little bit as a single.
Yeah.
And as a contender. So I wouldn't be surprised if she won. I'd be very surprised if Killer Kelly won. I don't feel like she's done enough yet.
Well, that's who Craig has gone for.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah.
The only reason I don't think Masha Slamovich will win is because I do think Mickie James is going to win the Knockouts World title. And if that's the first program for Mickie James as world champion, because I think it's going to be Masha Slamovich that ends the last rodeo. I think Masha will defeat Mickie James at some point to end the last rodeo and become the world champion. But I don't see it happening straight after Hard to Kill. So I have gone for Taylor Wilde. And I think that'll be a fun match, considering she's been repackaged in her witchy persona.
She's only just had the match with Mickie though, right?
Yeah, but that was old school Taylor Wilde.
Okay. Yeah. I think it is a match that's kind of wide open and no result would massively surprise me.
No, exactly.
Which is cool going in. It makes me interested to see it.
Yeah.
As opposed to if it was a foregone conclusion, then you can just kind of brush past it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. We might as well talk about it now then. The last rodeo, Mickie James and Jordynne Grace for the world title.
What did I go for last time we talked?
Everyone on my list has gone for Mickie James.
Yeah. I think that the whole last rodeo thing doesn't end with Jordynne Grace.
Yeah.
I can't see her being the one to beat Mickie James. So Mickie has to win the title just in time to be back in the Rumble.
Potentially, she's on my list.
Yeah. I think it will go that way. And I wouldn't be surprised, as you put it, for Masha to be the one to end the last rodeo. Yeah, I don't think there's much I'll say. I'd be very surprised if it went the other way and this was Mickie James' last match.
Yeah, I think they're doing little bits to make people think that this is it for Mickie James, like video packages on Impact. Lisa Marie, Tara, Victoria is going to be in attendance. Close friend of Mickie James. So they're doing little bits to make people think, oh, is this it? But I don't think it's going down just yet. I think, here's the thing, I think Jordynne Grace could be the person to end the last rodeo. The way I would book it is to have Mickie win here and Jordynne turn heel. And then, end the last rodeo further into the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. I can't see it.
I'm not the booker, man. What would you do?
I can't see it happening, but it's not a bad idea. Yeah, I think Mickie wins, and she'll beat a few, make a few defenses, lose it a bit later in the year. Maybe even have, it'd be the last run goes right through till maybe like Slammiversary or something.
Yeah.
And lose it there, and that'll be that.
Perfect place to end it for sure.
Yeah. Plus, it's then not a whole sort of 10 months to Bound for Glory to lose it. That's quite a long stretch to kind of keep people caring about it. I don't. I'm not seeing Jordynne turning personally.
Okay.
But yeah.
Fair enough. Let's switch gears entirely and talk about Falls Count Anywhere. Steve Macklin and Rich Swann. So when we talked previously, in fact, everyone has gone for Steve Macklin. Do you maintain that opinion?
Yeah.
Cool. Good chat. Good podcast there.
Yeah, I know, right? Sorry, I was kind of swallowing some drink and I had nothing left to give you. Yeah, I think that Macklin wins. Macklin should win. I think it would be good. I like the idea of Rich Swann, because Rich Swann kind of dips his toe into the X Division stuff.
Yeah.
But also mixes it up with the heavyweights as well, which kind of makes him feel more important sometimes than the X Division, because he's been a former world champion and all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be good to see him in a fight, as opposed, with Falls Count Anywhere, as opposed to more of a sort of flying around X Division style match. I think it could be really good and actually do good things for Rich Swann, because I know he's just signed a new contract. So which is a good thing because I'm a fan of his. But the task they've got now is keeping people interested in him. Because at the minute he kind of just feels like a bit of a utility player that you just kind of plug in to matches with people who you're building up, or into matches where he's not really the focus of. It's not intended to get him over, and he's good. So he could potentially do more. And if he's sticking around for a while, he has to win sometimes. He has to, because otherwise people just stop believing in him altogether. So yeah, I don't think he'll win this one, but I think he should be in some big matches and a proper program, and used if he's going to be sticking around.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The last time we saw Rich Swann in a fight was against Sammy Callahan. I think it was Rebellion a couple of years ago, and the match was spectacular. So we know Swann can perform in these circumstances, but the general consensus is that Steve Macklin will be world champion at some point this year. I think Steve Macklin does need the win here. How would you feel about Steve Macklin being the world champion? Do you think it's too soon?
I'm a big fan of his, but I don't think he has been presented as being on that level yet. I don't think. I think the problem is that if he won it, say he's the next guy and he beats Josh in the next couple of months, right? I don't think it's the run that you would want for him. You know, sometimes you have a heel win the title and they have longer runs generally than the babyface, because you know the chase is usually better than the run when it comes to babyface. So, but I don't know. He just doesn't feel like a main event guy yet. I don't know. I personally don't think Macklin wins the title anytime soon.
Okay, that's the first person I've heard of that opinion.
But you know, they can do a lot to get him there. You know, and I think he has the ability to get there and be a world champion. And I support a push of Macklin to get there. I just, at this moment in time, he doesn't feel like he would be the next world champion.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of time between now and Bound for Glory, for example, to build him up into that position.
Yeah, of course. I just don't see him there yet, and I don't see Josh holding it until Bound for Glory. So I don't see that he's going to be the next guy. You know.
No, that's absolutely fair. Let's talk about the Digital Media Championship. The prestigious one, Joe Hendry defends against Moose. Now, we have all gone for Joe Hendry here, but that seems mad when you think about it, that Joe Hendry would defeat Moose on pay-per-view. But it feels like, you know, Joe Hendry's only just getting started with the Digital Media Championship. So why would you take it off him? And why would Moose even be interested in that title? Yeah,
the title's beneath Moose. Moose doesn't need it. Hendry does need it. It elevates Hendry to have it.
Yeah. And a win against Moose would elevate Hendry massively.
Yeah, I can't see it being some big clean finish.
No.
You know, I think you said when we were chatting, you know, roll up, beats him, roll straight out, Moose is angry.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah, but then if he goes over cheap with a roll up, that kind of thing, that almost can't end the feud, you know?
Yeah, I think there's more legs on this storyline than just this match.
Yeah, but then obviously you're then going to have another match and then the title's on the line again, and you will still look at it as this title's beneath Moose. So you're kind of in a bit of a corner.
Maybe Moose costs Hendry the title between now and their next match.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not changing my decision. I mean, Moose, I think Hendry will win. I think Moose is above this title and above this feud, really. But then it's kind of like, what do you do with someone like Moose, who, if he's not challenging for the main title, you know?
Exactly, and he's gone through a lot of the roster already. We need something fresh, and this is a fresh angle for Moose.
Yeah.
But yeah, what then?
It's difficult.
It is tough.
Because everybody, no matter what company, everybody's got a shelf life, and eventually you run through all the different matches and all the different combinations with someone, and whilst you look at them and think this guy's really, really good, what next? You know, and I feel like Moose is getting to that point now. Where it was after he lost the title to Josh, there was rumors that he was taking time off and then he kind of never left.
Yeah.
And I think, if anything, that time off might have done him good, because it would make you miss him a little bit, and then could come back fresh. And in that time, maybe there's a few new people on the roster and things that he can interact with. I think it's a great match and feud for Hendry.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Everything about this benefits Joe Hendry.
Yeah, well, and I'm all in favour of that. I'm a big Joe Hendry fan. Let's move on to Eddie Edwards and the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham. It was so cool to see Gresham show up again and reveal that he is under contract to Impact. We knew he left Ring of Honor / AEW on bad terms, and where else was he going to go, really? I think he's going to be a great fit. Is he can slot into whatever division you want. As a former Ring of Honor World Champion, that makes him, in my mind, an instant contender to the Impact World Title. But he fits perfectly into the X division. So I'm interested to see how this match goes, because we are divided on our opinions on the outcome of this match. You have gone for Eddie Edwards. Myself and Craig say Jonathan Gresham is going to win this one.
Yeah. I feel like Eddie loses the big match too often recently, maybe. I feel like he needs it. I think he can go over dirty, or whatever, but this is a really difficult one to call, I think, because does that then take the shine off Gresham, who's only just coming in?
Exactly, that's my thought.
But then you need to keep Eddie strong for when PCO comes back, because that's obviously inevitable. So this is really quite difficult. But yeah, I think Eddie Edwards takes this one. I don't know what has led me to that decision, if I'm honest. And this could go either way. I'm kind of 50-50 on it, so I just kind of took a punt.
No, that's fair. Jonathan Gresham has the ability to beat someone without making them look weak. Jonathan Gresham's one of those wrestlers that doesn't have a finisher. He beats people no end of ways. Rolls them up like a pretzel and pins them, or makes them submit in some, far out submission hold. So I think the way it goes down, Jonathan Gresham wraps Eddie up, pins him, 1, 2, 3. But Eddie doesn't look weak in defeat, and that then leads to the return of PCO at Hard to Kill. Because you can't have the Hard to Kill pay-per-view on Friday the 13th of all dates without having PCO make an appearance.
So Gresham wins, Eddie jumps him.
Yeah.
And then PCO makes a save.
Yeah, could be. Or Gresham gets out of there, Eddie's cutting a promo in the ring, and PCO comes back, or just throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see that happening. You said about kind of tying him up, pinning him, 1, 2, 3. Some sort of, is that too close to the finish that you've predicted for Hendry and Moose on the same show?
If you separate them, I don't think it matters. If you put one at the start of the show, one close to the end.
Yeah. Like I say, I can see it going both ways. So I'm sticking with my prediction, but yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about the X Division Championship match. The new Trey Miguel taking on your boy Black Taurus. Assuming you like Terry Runnels, then.
It's not the first time I've been told that.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's my rank that also gets that comparison.
Yeah. Taurus will be accompanied by Crazy Steve, and is Decay still a thing now that the Death Dolls have taken off?
Not really. They've changed his music as well, Black Taurus.
Yeah.
So I don't really think it's a thing anymore.
Hmm.
And if it wasn't being used as a thing and they weren't interacting with each other anymore, then yeah, just kind of quietly leave it alone.
Yeah.
And then potentially, get a year, 18 months down the line, you can always bring it back together and then it's fresh again.
Yeah, very true.
If you're doing nothing with it, then you might as well just quietly. And sometimes it's the right thing for, not every group needs to have some grand breakup. Not every tag team needs to have some big breakup where the parties will go against each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the right time to move people apart. I'm pretty sure I said Trey retains, right?
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, that's my prediction. That's not what I want, but it's my prediction.
That's fair. I think there's still a lot for Trey to do in this new persona. It wouldn't make sense to take the belt off him just yet.
Yeah, I mean, my head obviously says Trey. My heart says otherwise.
But my body.
But that's mainly just because I'm a massive Black Taurus fan. So, but yeah, it's probably the right decision for Trey to retain. And if he does, then I hope I'm right with the pre-show match, and then we get Kushida and Trey. I think would be wicked. So
yeah, definitely, that'll be a hell of a match.
Yeah.
We hope we do get that at some point in some fashion.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've all gone train together on that one. Let's talk about the tag titles, where we have totally different opinions again. It is the Motor City Machine Guns defending against Ace Austin and Chris Bay, the Major Players, and Heath and Rhino. Tag titles on the line. You have predicted the Motor City Machine Guns to retain. I have gone for the Major Players to win the belts, and Craig has gone for Ace and Bay. I think it's very interesting that we all pick different teams there, but again, it's another match that's very unpredictable in my opinion. The only team that I can't see winning them is Heath and Rhino.
Agreed. I could see it going any of the other ways that we've predicted. Ace and Bay. Again, I think I went Motor City Machine Guns just based on the fact that they've just won them. So I feel, and sometimes I don't like the titles changing hands in like these multi-man matches. I prefer to be like an actual proper program between one team and another team, or one guy and another guy.
Yeah, I get you, but this is an elimination match. It's not one fall wins it. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So Motor City Machine Guns made that stipulation so they can vanquish 3 teams at once, as opposed to not just lose the belts without being pinned.
Okay, I changed my pick.
Okay.
Based on that. Ace and Bay.
Ooh, okay. Drama. I'm sticking with the Major Players.
Okay.
And I think Matt Cardona / Zack Ryder rocks up to the Royal Rumble and is an entrant. And I don't think he'll necessarily have the Impact World Tag Team titles with him. But I think Zack Ryder will make an appearance in the Royal Rumble this year.
And you made a really good point. I think it was on your last week's show when you said that, even if he's not doing a proper WWE return, him showing up in the Rumble as Zack Ryder just adds so much to his indie gimmick.
Exactly.
I think it's brilliant. Yeah, I think it would be class. I go with Ace and Bay in the hopes that they then start using Ace of Spades, but sang with the names Ace and Bay as an entrance theme.
The Ace and Bay.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason I want that to happen, which won't happen. So, yeah, I think Okay, yeah. If it's elimination, I'll change my pick to Ace and Bay.
Okay, that's interesting. Why is that a factor in your changing of opinion? Why do you think because it's elimination, it will now be Ace and Bay?
I don't know. It's strange because I can see it coming down to Machine Guns and Ace and Bay if it's done elimination. And in my head, I was thinking that coming out of this match, Machine Guns and Ace and Bay 2-on-2 would be where it goes next, and then Ace and Bay would win them. So in my head, I had them pegged as the next champs. I think that just it being elimination, you can have it come down to those two teams. I think, I had them pegged to kind of do something further with Machine Guns. I don't know where it kind of leaves major players though. That's the only thing. I feel like if they don't win the titles soon, then maybe Matt Cardona has re-signed with WWE. And if he has, then he'll probably win the tag titles because that's what they do when people are leaving, isn't it?
Yeah.
They give everyone the tag titles before they leave. So I think if major players win, it's a sign that Zack Ryder's coming back to WWE permanently.
Okay. As we enter the final 10-10-10, see, I can do it too, Craig. Let's talk about the world title match. Full Metal Mayhem. Josh Alexander defending the now longest reigning Impact World Champion, defends the championship against Bully Ray. People are divided on this one. A lot of people are 100% certain Josh will retain. A lot of people think Bully Ray might win the belt. A lot of people are pissed off at the very thought of Bully Ray being the world champion in 2023. How do you feel about the possibility of Bully Ray being the world champion?
I like Bully Ray as a character. And I've liked his comeback as a character and what they've done as a character and the story. But I kind of feel like Josh has set a standard for the quality of match that you expect for the world title in Impact. And so have, for a while now, actually. Moose was having some absolute bangers, as was, who had it before Moose? Remind me.
Christian Cage.
Kenny
Omega.
Yeah, we'll say less about that. But even, I don't know, I just feel like Bully Ray, the character, absolutely should be world champion. But yeah, it's taking the belt in a completely different direction that it's not been in for a while.
Yeah.
Because it's been very exactly very
pissed off.
The quality of match expectation with the world title for a while has been very, very high. I think it's smart it being Full Metal Mayhem because it can hide. But I hate saying it because Bully Ray's good, It's going to be very much either, he's a brawler. It's not going to be some 30-minute classic, in-ring classic. So I'm torn again, which makes it a really good pay-per-view to watch, and not knowing how things are going to go. And it means that I will watch it at my earliest convenience to avoid having anything spoiled, because I look forward to watching and not knowing what's going to happen. I wouldn't have predicted a month of Sundays that Bully Ray would come back and be the next champ. If you'd have said this to me in September before he came back at Bound for Glory, never would have predicted it. He wasn't really doing a lot in other companies. He's still doing a little bit with the NWA, but even they haven't, put him at the top of the card, really. So yeah, really surprising. But the story's been good. And I'm not sure who I said the other day, but I've gone back and forth in my head about this a few times. I think title change.
Okay. You've changed your opinion then, because you did say Josh, right?
Yeah.
Alec, I agree with you. I think Bully Ray is going to take the world title. Now that Josh has surpassed Bobby Roode as the longest reigning world champion, there's no harm in taking the belt off Josh and having him chase a heel Bully Ray again, and potentially being a 3-time world champion come Rebellion. But I think it freshens things up. To your point, has Josh gotten stale as world champion? Are people losing interest? And I think if Bully Ray wins the world title, gets a bit more interest in the product, because Bully Ray's a big name. Sometimes not necessarily for the right reasons. He's very controversial in his opinions. But yeah, when Bully came back at Bound for Glory, I was hyped just to see him appear in the gauntlet. When he won it, when he won the Call Your Shot gauntlet, I was less enthused, because what are we doing? Why are we giving Bully Ray a push in 2022? But since he's been back,
I don't think it was helped by suddenly you had weeks of Tommy Dreamer in matches again and stuff. I don't think that helped matters.
No,
because I don't really think anyone really wants to see that now.
No. But
yeah, and as a result of the Bully story, it kind of So it was a slow starter, story-wise, but it's definitely getting the heat now.
Yeah, as soon as they turned Bully at Overdrive, because in the back of your mind, you knew that the turn was going to happen. When it happened, Dinky, calm down, please. Come on. When the turn happened, it was so well done. It got so much heat, and he's been fantastic. When he used the Good Hands, which is a dreadful tag team name, by the way, John Schuyler and Jason Hotch, used them to dupe Josh, and then he did the stuff with Scott D'Amore. He put him through the table. It's been good stuff. Hello. So I'm not against the idea of Bully being world champion, but it can't be a long reign. 3 months max.
Right. So question for you. If Bully's winning, okay, say he holds it for 3 months, is that just 3 months of rematches with Josh, or like who challenges Bully? Who's the baby faces that Bully can run through as challengers?
Rich Swann.
But then if you're beating Rich Swann at Hard to Kill, do you see what I mean about Rich Swann not being in that position, because he's constantly the kind of putting other people over?
Speedball Mike Bailey.
Slim pickings.
Yeah.
In terms of world title matches, I mean.
Well, I think Bully goes through lesser challenges, almost sort of easy matches, until the Josh rematch, where Josh gets the belt back, maybe in a steel cage or something.
Yeah. The one match that would be interesting, it could tell a good story for one of the Impact Plus specials, and tell a short little burst of a story with Bully as champion, would be a singles match with Sabin.
Yes, the man that beat him for the world title.
That could be set up pretty easily.
Good point.
Could be pretty good. I don't think there's that many babyface challengers that are right there, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't think it could be a long run because I don't think they've got the depth in babyface challengers
No.
for a heel champion at the minute.
Yeah, very true. Bring back Kazarian for another title match.
Really?
Well, you could.
I mean, you absolutely could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Elix Skipper.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's talk about this. Where did you read this or hear this that Elix might be?
He did like a signing thing with a little interview thing, and there was some news article posted some quotes from it, where he said that he stopped wrestling because his oldest son was killed.
Oh.
And he kind of he carried on a little bit after that and kind of lost the love for it and things and left wrestling alone completely. And now his other kids are kind of old enough because he didn't want to be away from home a lot and things like that was what he was saying. And yeah, he said that his wife has been pushing him to do it. And it seemed like a kind of, yeah, we'll see what happens. She's pushing me to do it, and if I'm going to do it, it's going to be sooner rather than later. And just seemed like quite a positive look on it. So maybe it's something that could happen, which I was quite excited about.
Yeah, that would be so awesome. And like we spoke about earlier, Impact would be the perfect home for the return of Elix Skipper. Can't believe I'm saying that.
It would almost have to be Impact, right?
It would.
I mean, I could. Don't get me wrong. I could see it just randomly cropping up on like a GCW card somewhere.
Yeah.
But if he's going to have a little run, a little comeback run, then absolutely Impact. Plus, I'm sure he's not. Even if he's thinking of a comeback, I'm sure he's not looking to be, out every week traveling the country and whatever.
No, exactly.
So Impact that kind of does a weekend of tapings and then nothing for several weeks.
Yeah.
Perfect, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, prime time, baby.
Yeah. Well, Alec, we did it. We did an hour.
Woo!
Just the two of us. I'm chuffed. I think it's been a really good episode. I hope you've enjoyed coming on and chatting some Impact.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's always good to chat to you. Let's talk about DOA's upcoming dates.
Yeah, let's do that.
The first show of the year, I believe, is the 28th?
28th of January. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are sort of collaborating on a show with DOAW at their performance centre on 28th of January. It should be a lot of fun. There's some. It's not a show where it's like has to be their guys against our guys. It's just a joint show, which was important to me because I didn't want it to be presented because then one company's got to come out of it looking worse than the other. One company's got to win, one company's got to lose. Traditionally, these sort of joint shows that WAW have done, not just with ourselves in the past, but other companies as well, have kind of been your champion against our champion, or your guys against our guys, and then a big multi-man at the end to kind of, with point systems, all sorts of stuff like that that's been suggested in the past and that we've done in the past, and that's not what this is. It's not what it was about. We've just decided to come together. We did a show there last year on WrestleMania weekend, which you hosted.
Yeah. In their house.
In their house, yeah. So that and that worked out great. We had a really good night, and then we had both nights kind of had WrestleMania on their big screen after the shows. And so the idea came up to do the same for the Royal Rumble, but obviously that's only one night, so we decided to do it together. Matches are going to be sort of released over the next kind of week or so. So yeah, by the time this comes out, I don't think I'll be ruining anything by sort of saying a couple of those matches that will be released by the time this comes out. So
well, this we're recording, for full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, we're recording on the Wednesday. It's going to be released tomorrow night, Thursday.
Okay. So when you listen to this, you will be aware that the first match that is being announced. Actually, I'm not sure first. So I'm gonna say two of them here because they're the first two that are being announced. If you get one of them a day early, then you lucky so and so's. So one of which, even though I've just said it's not about us against them, we did unanimously decide that the DOA tag team champions, the lads, would go against the WAW tag team champions, the Battle Cats.
That'll be a great match.
So that should be really good. No titles on the line. It's just our champs against their champs, which I think it's got potential to steal the show. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And we have the DOA Pandemonium Championship being defended. So Big Joe will be defending against Mitchell Starr in an evening gown match.
That is brilliant.
So that again should be a lot of fun. And there's a load of more matches going to be announced, and also a full 30-man Royal Rumble as well. So yeah, that one should be a lot of fun. And then we are in Bury St Edmunds on the 18th of February, back at Newbury Community Centre. We did our first show there in what would it have been? November time, wasn't it?
I remember the match.
September, I think.
Yeah, it would have been. It was Brad O'Brien against Hernandez.
Yes, yeah. So October. So that was October, and the show did great. The venue were lovely. It's a really nice new building. Yeah, we really enjoyed working with the venue there. They were very happy with the event. They really couldn't wait to get us back, which is always a great thing when you've got a good relationship with a venue. And yeah, we're looking to really build on what was a really positive start. Tickets are already doing really well, and yeah, that show, the one of the matches for that will be dropping in the next couple of days, and that is actually the lads' first actual title defense of the year. So that will be announced, and that is the lads taking on Team Hell Snow, which is Truman Roswell and Blue Cane.
Oh, fantastic!
So
when we see Blue Cane back in DOA.
Yeah, he's quite difficult to get hold of. You see,
doesn't have a phone, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, there's a lot of big matches yet to be announced for that show. And then March 18th, we return to Great Yarmouth, our first Drill House show of 2023, which is again shaping up to be a really, really good card that also features the return of Ash Draven for the first time in several years.
My old frenemy.
Yeah. So he'll be back in action for us on that one. And Big Joe's on there. Brett Semtex will be on there defending the DOA championship on there. So yeah, that's again. Drill House has been an amazing venue for us. it just continues to be a great crowd, and can't wait to get things rolling there. I think that's the first 3 shows of the year, and I think all 3 are gonna knock it out of the park and start the year off the right way, I think.
Fantastic. That is so cool to hear. Well, Alec, thanks for taking time out of your day to come on and record. So much to look forward to with DOA, with Impact, with wrestling in general. Is there anything else you need to promote?
Yeah, just one last thing, that our final show of 2022 was slightly delayed due to my really busy schedule over the Christmas period. Was slightly delayed, but that does drop on Fight on January 20th, and that is 8 o'clock. I'll drop on Fight, but obviously it's on demand, so if you don't catch it at 8 o'clock, you can watch it at any point after that, along with all of our shows going back all the way back to Beach Ball Mania 3, which is our first show back after the pandemic, and our first show there on Fight. So you can go back and watch any of those shows. For the next one, which is Final Destination from the Drill House, that drops on January 20th.
Fantastic. And all DOA's stuff on Fight TV is free. Don't need a subscription to Fight Plus. It's all free, ready to watch whenever.
Absolutely.
Really, really cool. Well, Alec, thanks again. I'd like to thank Mr. Frank Fiat for the entrance music, and just tell everyone to carry on supporting wrestling. So, in the immortal words of Mr. Impact Craig, goodbye, my friends.